Hey folks, how's it going? Hope you're keeping well. So over the last few weeks I've been watching Vladimir's Zoom classes and he's been doing some great work with weapons. And one progression he's been teaching is moving the weapon, starting with the wrist, then working with the elbow, then working up to the shoulder, and then working all three together. And I thought this is a very nice progression we can work with the sledgehammer as well. So for those of you that are working the sledgehammer already, there's some new ideas here hopefully, or for those who want to get into working with the sledgehammer, this gives you another way into it. So the first thing is, you're just working with the wrist. Now there's a caveat of course that first time use, then you come right up the handle. We don't want to strain anything to start with, we're keeping things comfortable to begin with, and then as you get more used to it, you can of course work with more leverage. So but the first one, we're just working the wrist. Inhale, exhale, or exhale, inhale. Then from here, we're going to work elbow. So slightly longer movement, slightly longer breathing. And then you can work shoulder. So that's the progression. Of course I'm showing this very quickly here, but we want to apply that in different directions, maybe holding the hammer in different ways, so we start building up our structure. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I've been working the hammer in a slightly different way lately. We have all our sort of big movements, all this kind of work, which we've put out before and we've shown before. What I've been working is closer in to the body, so really getting this idea of all these three joints working together now, and using two hands. Maybe transitioning to a longer grip every now and again, but really working, I guess you can call it figure eight movement, though of course it's not really a fixed pattern, but really working the two hands together to get the upper body working. Now again, at first you can use something lighter or even working with a stick, this is a good method. Later on you can work bigger movements, or of course you can work single-handed, the same kind of idea. Again, I'm showing this real quick just to give you the flavour of the thing, the principles. The third thing I want to talk about is why we do this training, or at least why I do it. Because people see weight training of any type and they immediately think strength and building muscle. But the reason I do this work is to develop power, or to help develop power, and it's just one method amongst many, of course. Now when you say power, people may sometimes think of muscular strength, which might be a component of power, but it's not by any means the whole thing. And as we put out in our recent download, aspects of power, we also need to think about our structure, we need to think about stability in the joints, we need to think about position, we need to think about timing, and we need to really understand relaxation as well, because without relaxation you can't deliver power. So where I find the hammer is really useful is for this feeling of developing power in the hand. So there's obvious things, you know, if I'm doing this move, that obviously translates into a punch, but this other work I'm doing here, that works if I grab someone, okay? I've got power in the hands, I've got a feeling of substance in the hands, and then I can use the joints to direct that power and so direct the person. Now this feeling of power, because it's a feeling thing, I can't visually show it, but it's like even here, you hold the sword or you hold the knife or you hold the hammer or whatever it is, you get into a comfortable position, the body relaxes, but the hand should feel full. Not necessarily tense, obviously there's a certain amount of tension there to maintain, but the strength of the grip comes from the stability of the joint and all the small muscles that we're working. I'm not even engaging the large muscles in the arm, so I'm not doing this kind of work. Everything else should be relaxed except where it needs to be. So I'm holding the hammer through power. And of course, if I want to start moving that power around and learn to project it throughout the body, that's where my different movements and exercises come from. And again, I know in the past we've put these together as routines, but really this should all be free movement. You should explore the limits of your movement as well, because some people have power but they can only apply it in a very limited arc. What we need to be working is the ability to apply our power in a wide as arc as possible. So that for me is the prime reason for using the hammer. Of course, secondary benefit, I'm getting all that great joint work, stability work in the upper body as well. And I'm also learning to build internal connections, because as I've said in other posts, I can learn to reinforce the structure of the arm through activating the muscle of the chest, for example, or the hip or the shoulder or the leg or whatever else it might be. So it's also given me that ability, if I do a movement and my structure here is not so strong yet, then I should either come up the stick or I can activate the shoulder, and this now is a lot firmer. If I relax the shoulder off, then see, power kind of leaks a little bit here. So you learn to use your body to apply power in a slightly different way from what might be thought of as conventional lifting a weight, activating the muscles. And then of course the other side of that later on is learning to deal with accepting power as well. But that's for another time. So a few ideas there. If you want to get into the sledgehammer and you've never used it before, then start with that progression. Wrist movement, elbow movement, then make sure you've got enough space. Shoulder movement, then you can start working into the movements. Or if you've been working the hammer for a little while and you've done all those basic moves, then start being a bit more creative in your movement, get a little bit of a flow going as well. Of course, that's another aspect of power, right? And you know, really explore all the movement that you've got available to you, but keeping that power in the hands. I think you'll find that very interesting when you then come to apply that to your striking work. So that's a bit of a quick overview of the subjects, but I hope you find that useful and it gives you some ideas. Any questions or comments, post them below or get in touch. If you like the channel, please subscribe, please share. We're still under partial lockdown at the moment, but we are beginning to run some sessions now here at the house and also at our Tempsford venue, a fortnightly session there outdoors. So please check the website or get in touch if you want details of those. And if anyone wants Zoom sessions as well, we're able to organise those on a regular basis or a one-off basis for individuals or groups. Again, just get in touch and we can sort that out. Take care.